Why did I start The Witcher Season 4, only to realize they changed The Witcher? I didn't even know. I don't really keep up with show updates, I just watch and move on. But I guess that's why they made the new Witcher show off his skills early, just to convince us he's the same guy in a different skin. Through the voice of Nimio, a young girl who'll probably be important later, we hear Jaskier's writings about Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. It's like a recap of everything that's happened so far, with the new Geralt basically fighting all the same fights as the old one. And honestly, he's good at it. Plus, they kinda look alike. In the present day, Geralt's on the road with Jaskier and Milva, still nursing his wounds and heading toward Nilfgaard in search of Ciri. The whole season focuses on that journey, the monsters they slay, the people they meet, and the ones crazy enough to join their cause. First, they stumble upon a caravan looted by Havakars, scavengers who rob the dead and sell their junk for profit. That's where Geralt finds Cahir being transported in a coffin. He's furious, still grieving, and still doubting whether he can ever save Ciri or Yennefer. Most of that anger he dumps on Cahir, but he doesn't kill him, not when Ciri herself had the chance and chose mercy. Then Geralt runs into Zoltan Chevet and his band of singing dwarves. He's not thrilled about it, but they've got food, something Jaskier and Milva haven't had in days. On their journey, they spot a lonely farmhouse and a cow Zoltan wants to steal, standard dwarven business, until a young woman warns them that someone inside is down with the pox. They're about to leave when a group of soldiers show up and try to assault her, and Geralt being Geralt, he's not letting that slide. He wipes them out with ease. One soldier escapes, but Cahir, who's been tailing them, kills him to keep things quiet. Milva and Jaskier think it's reason enough for Geralt to team up with him, but Geralt's not hearing it. Taking a shortcut, they end up in an elven cemetery haunted by a monster. Of course, Jaskier's the first to get snatched. He never learns, but Geralt kills the wraith by crushing its heart. That's when they meet Emil Regis, a barber surgeon and herbalist living in the cemetery to avoid the war. He offers them food, some strong mandrake liquor, and even checks Geralt's wound, which still won't heal because the man refuses to rest. Regis seems a bit off, especially when he sniffs Geralt's bloody gauze, but so far, he hasn't done anything suspicious. He ends up joining the group to help treat Geralt along the way, with Cahir still following in the shadows. Next, they come across a village littered with corpses. Jaskier and Milva want to keep moving, but the refugees traveling with Zoltan, including a young girl named Beata, are desperate to find their families. Geralt agrees to check it out. They find Beata's sister, Talver, but she's about to be burned alive for being a witch. The moment Beata hugs her, the priest brands her a witch too. Geralt demands proof, but the priest has none. When he refuses to back down, Geralt challenges him to trial by combat. The priest counters with a trial by ordeal. If anyone can pick up a flaming horseshoe without being burned, they're free to go. Regis, somehow, does it. No one knows how, but it works. Still, the priest calls them witches and orders the villagers to attack. Luckily, or maybe not, Nilfgaard's army arrives mid-chaos. Beata dies in the attack, and Geralt is knocked out cold. He's captured by some Citran armies taking refuge in Redania's camp. Since Radovid became king, all he has been doing is pining over Jaskier, so Dijkstra uses this opportunity to get Radovid to wake up. He tortures the Witcher while Jaskier reunites with Radovid, knowing Jaskier would choose Geralt over Radovid. This wakes the king up. But it doesn't work to Dijkstra's advantage, as Radovid has him removed as his ambassador. He has watched Dijkstra manipulate his brother, and he saw right through what he just did. Geralt is about to be killed when Regis shows up to rescue them. Now we know why he was sniffing Geralt's gauze. He's a vampire. He gives Geralt an elixir that can boost his powers, which comes in handy because the Redania camp is stormed by Nilfgaard armies, with Jaskier getting hurt in the head. Yennefer, on the other hand, is portaling all over the continent in search of Vilgefortz, but every portal she opens seems to glitch. When she finally returns to what's left of Aretuza, she finds the mages being attacked by villagers blaming them for their dead. Yennefer suspects Vilgefortz is controlling the portals. Makes sense, since his loyalists keep showing up to mess with her and recruit her. When they capture one of Vilgefortz's lackeys, Bernita, Yennefer digs into her mind for answers. It's brutal, and just when they're getting close, Vilgefortz himself hijacks Bernita's body to speak through her, taunting Yennefer before making Bernita's eyes explode. No one's getting any info now. With Vilgefortz building an army of rogue mages, Yennefer decides to recruit all the mages scattered across the continent. They need numbers to beat Vilgefortz. First up is Philippa, who is currently sidelined in Redania after killing the king. She initially refuses but ultimately shows up when Vilgefortz's loyalists ambush Yennefer, and they both dispatch them, which was awesome to watch. Then she visits Fringilla, giving her a Dimeritium blade, a weapon that blocks magic. She knows Vilgefortz would try to recruit Fringilla, just like he did with her, and she wants Fringilla to play along, infiltrate his ranks and expose his stronghold. Fringilla's not convinced until Yennefer points out that if Vilgefortz falls, so does Cahir. The next thing we see is Fringilla telling Vilgefortz, who has Istred captive under an illusion translating the Book of Monolith, that Yen told her to kill him. This gains Vilgefortz's trust, and he shows her how he is manipulating the portals by sacrificing mages. Fringilla manages to sweet-talk her way into working for Vilgefortz at his fortress, rather than being sent out as a recruiter. Next, Yen tries to recruit Francesca, who is not coping well after losing all her family in the last season. She's reluctant to get embroiled in Yen's fight against Vilgefortz, or really in anything other than languishing in her grief and trying to pretend that reality doesn't exist. But Yen has reached the point where she can't be bothered negotiating, and instead turns Francesca, the queen of the elves, into a jade figurine and pops her in her pocket. She returns to Monte Calvo, their mage's sanctuary for now, as multiple mages, including a very traditional-looking witch named Asire and a bearded dwarf lady named Zemer, arrive for a meeting. Francesca is released to explain why Ciri is important to the people, the whole Lara tale. Using intel from Fringilla, they realize attacking Vilgefortz in his fortress is impossible. They'll have to lure him out to Monte Calvo instead. They request the help of the Witchers. They even changed Vesemir too, who trains the mages for battle. As for Ciri, she's still running with the rats, who are trying to rob a tax collector, but everything goes wrong when one of them gets distracted by, "Is that cocaine?" And the witness she's supposed to keep quiet manages to alert the town. To help them escape, Ciri throws all the stolen money into the streets, which stops the soldiers in their step, given the villagers scrambling for coins. The rats are not happy about losing their loot, even though she saved their lives. The next day, though, the soldiers arrive, but the villagers who now see them as heroes help them escape. Ciri's officially initiated into the gang, and even starts catching feelings for one of them. But their next robbery draws too much attention. Falca's name, Ciri's new alias, becomes infamous after she attacks a Nilfgaardian royal named Gilda. Soon after, bounty hunters ambush her, and she takes them all out with ease. Her fighting this season? On point. But it's only a matter of time before someone catches up, especially since one of the rats knows who she really is. The lovebirds Ciri and Missile decide to go make out in a cave of all places, only to get attacked by a Greylock acting crazy due to the parasite it decided to eat. Greylocks are usually harmless according to Ciri, but the parasite is making this one vicious. Ciri manages to get it out of its mouth, and Missile realizes Ciri fought like a witcher. As for fake Ciri, Terran, the gig is up. The Emhyr finally realizes she isn't his daughter when she cannot fight. Took him long enough. He confronts Vilgefortz for lying to him, but the man does not care. The Emhyr's plan is a sick one. He intends to impregnate the real Ciri, his own daughter, to produce an heir destined to rule the continent. What in the House of Dragons is going on here? His advisor, Skellan, tells him to announce his engagement to fake Ciri for now, a political distraction while they search for the real one. But plot twist, Skellan's working with Nilfgaardian ministers who want to overthrow Emhyr. He hires a witcher hunter named Leo Bonhart, a man who wears medallions from every witcher he's killed, to hunt down Ciri and the rats. And since Gilda described her attacker perfectly, Skellan is convinced Falca is none other than Princess Ciri herself. After their attack, Geralt and his team needs to heal, so in the meantime we get to know each of their stories. First up are the dwarves, Zoltan Chevet and Yarpen Zigrin. We learn Zoltan was wrongfully exiled for allegedly supplying weapons to humans, branded a traitor among his kind. But the truth is, he was actually selling to a dwarf named Bruver, who was the one secretly trading with humans, and pinned the blame on Zoltan. That revelation finally lets Yarpen and Zoltan bury the hatchet, since Yarpen had always believed he was a traitor. We learn that Milva was assaulted by her stepfather as a teenager, until she finally snapped and killed him. She then fled into the forest, where she became a deadly archer. Eventually she saved a group of dryads, and they invited her to make a home in Brokilon Forest. After that, Milva guided Scoia'tael guerrilla fighters through Brokilon. She recalls how she spent the night with an elf whom she'd grown attached to, only to find out later on after returning from a mission that the entire group of Scoia'tael was ambushed and killed. It was not long after that she was tasked by the dryads with helping Geralt recover from his wounds. Jaskir's story is kind of an High School Musical scene, till we get to Regis's story. He is 428 years old, and garlic does not repel him lol. He tried his possible best not to drink human blood, but in vampire society, to not partake of human blood is to risk becoming an outcast. He drank his fill as a young vampire, to the point where he gave in to all his worst impulses, but then he accidentally fell down a well, and was saved the following morning by a human named Bethane. They fell in love and lived a better life, where Regis didn't consort with other vampires or drink blood. Bethane was an herbalist, which explains where Regis picked up so much of his knowledge. Unfortunately, his coven eventually killed Bethane to stop Regis from playing with his food. He went on a bloody rampage, killing all the other vampires, which Bethane witnessed in her final moments, dying in terror of him. Regis's rampage alerted the village to the presence of vampires, and a mob slaughtered him and any others they could find. In the Witcher world, vampires can regenerate from almost any wound, including being dismembered or stabbed with a wooden stake. It took Regis half a century to regenerate, all the while haunted by his terrible mistakes. Next, we get Cahir's backstory. Not that Geralt cares much, but he did help them fight the Nilfgaardians, so he's earned the floor. For a long time, no one really understood why Cahir became so blindly loyal to Emhyr, until now. We see young Cahir, whose father is cruel to him, following the death of his older brother at the hands of the usurper, the former king who stole Emhyr's throne and was later deposed. Young Cahir runs into the forest, where he encounters Zarthesius. The mage enlists Cahir to leave food outside of a nearby cave, where he says a friend of his is recovering. He recalls how, for weeks, he made deliveries for Nilfgaard, without ever seeing who they were for, until 2 bandits tried to rob him. That's when he saw Duny, and from the description, Geralt realizes Duny is Ciri's father. Later, when Cahir officially joined the Nilfgaardian army, Duny took him under his wing and made him believe in the Empire's cause. From Cahir's story, Geralt deduces that Duny, now Emhyr, is trying to marry his own daughter because Vilgefortz convinced him that fulfilling Ithleen's prophecy requires producing an elder blood heir. While we thought Fringilla was sleek, she's not that sleek to Vilgefortz, who tortures her to find out where Yennefer is. Even though she reveals it's Monte Calvo, she does manage to send a warning to Yennefer that Vilgefortz is coming. Wow, The Witcher really decided to make up for the actor changes with mad-ass actions. This might be the best episode of The Witcher for me. As the mages await Vilgefortz, the young novices form a barrier to weaken Vilgefortz's portal jumping, but ultimately he overpowers them, because you know he has a lot of mages. Soon the battle starts, and the mages really hold their own. Vilgefortz has a colossal advantage in the fact that his mages keep portaling around whenever Yen and the others fight back, which prevents them from securing a foothold. Yennefer manages to communicate with Fringilla, urging her to fight. She manages to escape and free Istred, who knows how to stop Vilgefortz from manipulating the portals, but it would require him to connect himself to the monolith in order to counteract Vilgefortz's spell, which means he's going to die. Vilgefortz manages to kill Vesemir, and it gets to a one-on-one Vilgefortz mage and Yennefer mages with a standoff of fire powers. Philippa is able to turn on the water last minute, and Istred is also able to destroy the monolith that's powering the portal. Yennefer's mages win the war, and Vilgefortz flees, but Istred dies in the process. His final words implore her to get to Stiga Castle, where Vilgefortz has been basing his operations. Yennefer then teleports right into the heart of Emhyr's fortress to rescue her daughter, only to find the imposter who refuses to leave with her, even though Yennefer warns her that once the Emhyr finds the real Ciri she would be killed, but Terran would rather take her chances here. Milva reveals she's pregnant for the elf she had a one-night stand with, as the team faces another obstacle. Everyone keeps getting taken one after the other in this Ysgil swamp, and Geralt keeps hearing a voice calling to him. It turns out to be a Rusalka, spirits who lost their lives in the waterways and now spend their time giving everyone who passes terrifying visions and demanding they solve riddles. This one wants Geralt's warmth, and Geralt tricks it, it's a she, to release him so he can wrap his hands around it, only for Geralt to stab its daughter. It drags Geralt into its swamp with its twigs, until Geralt solves its riddle, and he's set free. After this, Yarpen and Percy decides to go back home to their betrothed, and Yennefer portals in to inform Geralt that the Emhyr has fake Ciri. She has to go back to home though, but they do make out a little, and the plan now is to find a druid circle in Caed Du. With the equinox drawing near, their combined power might be able to locate Ciri. Ciri had gone for a usual robbery where she had been told they were going for gold, only for it to turn out to be a kid. The rats lied to her, but she doesn't seem to care until she realizes that the rats kidnapped the boy for the Emhyr. She chases after the carriage and rescues the boy, only to learn that the rats she left behind has been set up. The guy that paid the rats for the kidnapping had told them where Leo is, and the rats are dumb enough to go after him. He discards them all in a matter of minutes, and even though Ciri arrives, she's no match for Leo. After her stint in the desert last season, her powers has not been working. Ciri's fate right now is left to Season 5. Geralt and his team sail down a river on their way to Caed Du, but they are unable to land as the Nilfgaard armies and northern forces are fighting across the water. The Nilfgaardians are trying to take a bridge that functions as a key choke point in the area, and the northerners of Lyria and Rivia, we later learn, are struggling to fight back. When their boat is finally able to land, Milva is in the midst of a miscarriage, and the only way they can buy Regis enough time to treat her is by Geralt and Cahir climbing up onto the bridge and leading the charge against the Nilfgaardians. When I tell you this season and the fights are 10 out of 10, I don't mind this Witcher, not gonna lie though it feels I'm betraying the old one. The Witcher even fights a giant creature at some point, also finally trusting Cahir as they fight side by side. For this, Geralt is made a knight, fulfilling an old dream, but that means swearing fealty to his new queen, and only her, which will make quickly moving on to his next destination a little difficult. The Witcher Season 4 ends with Yennefer going after Vilgefortz on her own after leaving rebuilding Aretuza to her sisters. Vilgefortz doing some kind of spell that involves the body parts of his mages, the Cahir psyching some monster on Geralt, and the Nimue girl deciding to go to Aretuza. I think she's in the future narrating everything that just happened. All in all, fantastic season.